Let's you recording? Let's start this. So the name of my podcast is Alaskan Odysseys, and this word Odysseys is something that I found and I love. And if you look at the definition, it's a journey. In summary or short, it's a journey, oftentimes whose end destination is much different than where the journey began. So somebody who's on an Odyssey is somebody who, I don't know, if it's college, you went to school to be an engineer, and when you came out, you were a nurse because you realized as you got down the path that that's not what you really wanted to do. So as it pertains to outdoor things, that's kind of like when you go on a backcountry trip and you realize, like, I don't actually even need to harvest an animal. Like, I'm actually having fun fishing. Like, this is a world-class fishing and camping experience. And so as I embrace it, it's good because it just helps people get away from, like, thinking about just punching their tag.
Gotcha.
You know?
Yeah.
Let's just create a good outdoor experience.
Yeah, experience, adventure.
Yeah.
The whole deal.
Yeah.
Well, let E3 tell the listeners who you are, and so everybody knows who you are and your podcast.
Cool. Let's do this.
Yeah, welcome to the Hunt360 podcast. I'm E3 King, joined here by founder of Hunt360, Jeremy Williams, and our friend Steve Opat of Alaskan Odysseys. Steve, it's great to have you on. How you doing today?
I'm having a great day. It's a sheep show, man. It's like Christmas.
Yeah,
it's a celebration.
It's nice to be here for sure.
Yeah, it is. It is nice to be here.
Yeah.
We wait all year for one of the best shows. Probably the best show for me.
Is it?
It's sort of relaxed, laid back, and everybody's here having a good time, and it's for the foundation is just conservation. This is one of the best conservation tools there is.
I'm glad that you brought up conservation. That's something we should go back and touch on as we keep talking about this, because as our entities can work, collaborate, conservation is something that we should really make sure we're promoting with all the users in the outdoor realm, or at least that's important to me. But
well, it's vital. Without it, hunting goes away.
Yeah. Let me take that as a lead into my podcast. As I was waiting for you guys to finish with your previous one, I went and I had heard this fact earlier, and I needed to go get the right number. I had listened to somebody pitch in there, and they said 10 years ago there were 18.5 million people who identified as hunters in America, and last year there was 10 million. So in the last 10 years, we've basically had the number of hunters cut in half. So for everybody in this realm, you got to realize if that trend continues, if you're a retailer, you just have that many less shoppers. But
exactly.
So that's on the low end of importance in my eyes. But that's a lot of American workers who are losing their income stream if hunting in the outdoor world doesn't stay strong and become part of the American lifestyle. Now, you take it to the upper end in conservation, in animal preservation, wildlife habitat. You can even take it so far as like climate change. If you believe that, carbon is a cause of climate change, and you start losing public lands and wild lands, you just lose all the service they give to our environment. So you have this whole spectrum of reasons of why we need as many outdoorsmen as we can, because we need voters and people who vote for people who respect and protect the outdoors, lands, and the outdoor heritage. So, not wanting to just start yet another hunting podcast, I decided when I saw that number, I decided, all right, if I'm not part of the solution, I'm part of the problem. How do I embrace that? My idea is I'm going to focus my podcast on coaching the coach or training the trainer, teach a kid to fish. That's my whole thought is I'm going to help E3 Kings. Do you got kids?
No.
You got a girlfriend or a wife or a boyfriend or anybody that you take hunting?
No, I'm single.
Well, you're probably hunting with your buddies.
Yeah, love hunting with friends, family, little brother, all about it.
Yeah, little brother. I mean, you're at Sheep Show. The cool thing about Sheep Show is it's not so much a commercial or a show about selling. It's a show about networking. It really is. Like, people are here. That's that relaxed feeling you get. Is
exactly.
I just want to come and hang out with my buddies.
We all feel it. I mean, that's why this show has so many guides here, so many of the employees for the outfitters. I mean, it's a networking show for sure.
Right, and these guides sell hunts here. They do.
They do.
But they give away really important handshakes. And they book a lot of hunts after these shows because people are just coming to interact, and they want to partner and pair with somebody that's going to give them their experience.
Yep.
But that's fun, you know. They're going to spend 10 days, 2 weeks with these people.
Yeah.
They want to have a good time.
Yeah.
You know? So this really is an interactive show. The sheep show is. So anyways, it's a networking show. You're going to find people that you end up hunting with, or you got your little brother. I want to give you tools. So when you take your little brother, or you take someone hunting who's never hunted before, people who've been in that position, like, give you some tricks. Like, you didn't know that you didn't know this, but when you make him gut his first deer, he's not even gonna know how to hold a knife. Like, Jesus, I didn't even think of that. I should brush up on a few things, you know, like make sure I'm teaching it right.
Yeah. Well, I mean, as long as you're out there, you're teaching something right.
Yeah, that's really it. That's a good message. I guess I really even didn't think of just always bring it back to that.
I think it's an interesting angle, the way you're coming from to this, because it's a necessary thing to do. You know, teaching others and keeping it going. I mean, what got you to that point that's where you decided to go at it towards?
It was an epiphany. I think there was a resistance before of like, I have these creative energies, and so outdoor writing has been a big thing for me, and it's usually been telling a story but sharing information of how to be warm. You know, it's like I might tell a story of a caribou hunt, but I really told you how I stayed warm while it was really rainy outside. And so I really try to be educational and give back, because a lot of my tutelage in learning how to be a hunter was hard fought. My dad exposed me to the outdoors, but he didn't have the background to really like teach me all the lessons. But he taught me how to figure out how. And so I know that if I can shorten people's learning curve, I can create better outdoor experiences for people, and that can make more people like this realm. And by getting more people to like this realm, more people will come back. By getting more people to feel comfortable being a hunter, identifying as a hunter, talking about hunter, respecting people who aren't hunters, and be able to have good, healthy conversations across the table, we can keep this thing that's so important to me alive and running.
So in your experiences, how much of a problem can it be sometimes? Just people just don't know, or they don't feel welcome, or don't feel comfortable getting into hunting. How much is that just the base issue most of the time?
I think it's pretty big. I mean, I'd be really curious to have this conversation what everyone thinks, but I know you can find a lot of articles about like the gear list for Alaska. Next thing you know, like that adds up to like $4,000. And I just think that there's a lot of people who are trying to get their kid into hunting, and they look at that and be like, yeah, I don't got $4,000.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, but there's other, I mean, that's the extreme.
That's the extreme,
yeah.
Sure.
But, I mean, there's always opportunities to get out. There's so many great opportunities for youth now. I mean, they're not like abundant, but there are some really great opportunities for youth now to get into getting great at tag applications. You know, the states are cut their hunting license down to less than $10 a lot of times.
Right.
And, you know, so it really, you know, it's really encouraging the youth to get involved more, you know, to help, you know, offset some of those expenses.
Yeah. So this is where I really feel like my mission and your guys' platform are all congruent. And that is, you know, you brought up like tag applications. You know, one angle I could take is, what are good tags to take when you got your little brother that you want to take hunting? What are some good tags to apply for, right? That just create a good outdoor experience and don't have this barrier to entry. Mm-hmm. So like me in Alaska, I was born in Minnesota, I live in Alaska. I wouldn't tell you that a moose hunt is good, because you got to try to judge a 50-inch moose. And that's a barrier to entry. People are like, I don't know how to judge a 50-inch moose.
Right.
We're like, well, let's find some any moose tags. Let's find some high success areas where you don't have to figure out how big it is. Maybe moose hunting isn't for you. Now, like, what I think what you just said, Jeremy, what my mind went to with content and what your users and interactors could do is when you're posting things to your social media accounts, post like, this is a tag that I applied for my son. It was a $10 thing that I did for him. There was an 80% success rate, and look at the smile on his face. Like,
oh yeah, so
right? And so now you're disseminating that
literally
information, and people can use that, and like, man, they can take their kid hunting and have a good time on.
Oh yeah, we just literally did that
Really?
this month. So my son drew a youth tag through New Mexico for a youth-only hunt that a company, one of our companies that we use for a tag application service, the Draw.
Yeah.
He contacted me and said, "Hey, we got this great opportunity for your son if you want to put him in, and it's only a few bucks." And I was like, I jumped all over. So heck yeah. So my son was lucky enough to draw the tag and was able to harvest his first mule deer. And compared to what if I would have had to do all that, you know. And so we made a video of it, documented the whole thing, so we can expose that to, you know, for social content, you know, of the whole practice, you know, from start to finish. And actually, that's my son and the deer he shot. Yeah, that's the one.
And it's a great deer.
Oh yeah, it was a great deer.
And your son looks really happy.
Oh, he was.
Cool. So I really appreciate that you're doing that, and I hope that we can. I hope that we can generate more of that, of people sharing how they found their. Make
that was the goal. Resource, that was the goal for us doing this video with him, is to help create content for people to educate themselves on what we did to make that happen, and how they could do the same thing.
Cool. What other ideas? I mean, like, what other things come into your mind as far as making the outdoors accessible and increasing the number of outdoorsmen?
It's anything that we can do to educate people. I mean, doing these podcasts, doing, like I say, social content, the videos, just making ourselves available to people who have questions.
Yeah.
There's plenty of answers. You might not know them, but I know people who should know the answers. So if somebody asks you questions, don't treat them like an idiot. You treat them with respect and say, I don't know that question yet. Or that answer. But I do know somebody who probably can.
Yeah.
Well, I think just the approach that you take to all of this is a way to do it in and of itself. Just the fact that, there's so many selfish reasons one could come into this industry and try to gain from it, but It really seems to me like you approach it as, for the greater good type of attitude. And I think that alone, whatever you're going to do is going to be for a good cause if you approach it that way.
I hope so. At least, I don't know. For me, it comes from a place of access, so...
It's not greed.
It's not greed. I have no ego on it,
right.
So
you're not trying to not tell everybody the favorite spots to draw to keep them from drawing it. You're exposing it for the better wealth of the hunting industry.
Yeah. What's funny is I thought back to this time in college when I was in North Dakota. I was crappie fishing a lot, ice fishing. And I had this it was like forums were the original thing on the internet of how to do. This was pre-Instagram, pre-whatever. And I had this thing called the Crappie Chronicles. And every day I would go out and I would talk about like what the weather was and what we caught and what jigs I used and what little things I did differently. And people kept asking me like, where are you fishing? Where are you fishing? And I was like, this ain't like a service, Like, it ain't a guide service. Like, I'm trying to get you thinking. And so I was 19 when I was doing that. I didn't know it, but as I think about it and as I've grown as a professional, like I know that it's a creative thing, and it comes from a place of excess. I want to give back, I grew up my dad put us through Boy Scouts, and I was an Eagle Scout. We volunteered. He was a fireman, so like I've helped serve 18,000 pancakes in my life at fundraiser breakfast and stuff. So I think for me as an adult, it's just this thing. And which ties back into your question, Ether, which is, how did you come across this? It was me thinking, enough people have told me that, man, I like your stories. I love your approach and your mentality. You should do a podcast. Keep writing. I'm like, I don't want to just start another another podcast. It's got to have an angle. And then this summer, my best friend was asking me about bear archery because I'm one of their pro staffers, and he says, hey, I think I want to get my kids a bow, and or I think it's time I upgrade my bow. How can I help you with your pro staff stuff, and me maybe like get a deal on a bow and like work together, buddy? It's like, I got a real good idea. You want to exploit your kids? It hit me right then. It hit me. You want to exploit your kids? Because I've been trying to make money off my kids since they were a week old. These things are leeches, I think I just found out how I'm finally going to start my podcast. Is we're going to focus on, like, we're going to get your kids 2 bear archery youth bows that they can grow with. We're going to both have ours. And we're just going to start telling the story of you taking them to the outdoors. And all these things that you think you're going to do right and give that kid a good experience, and realize, like, we had a learning lesson today. And so that's what we've been going back and forth on, and it's been really fun. And if you're taking kids hunting, he'll bring it back to, like, they got to be warm and you got to have a lot of snacks.
Yeah. They need an activity.
They need an activity, yeah.
They need to see deer, or
stay engaged.
They need to stay engaged. Exactly. Yep. E3 just hit the nail on the head. It needs to be engaging.
Yeah. And so, the first thing we came in that discussion was, all right, what makes a good initial experience? All right, I think I got a few things that came out of it. One, it's got to be something you can talk. So, like, you try to go to your good deer stand with a young kid and be like, shh, quiet, you're not going to see any deer. They're not going to care whether they see any deer. They're bored.
Right.
They're 6.
Yeah, they get burned out on it.
They get burned out. Now, if you can take your own ego out of the situation and put a deer stand in a place where you just see a lot of life and you can talk, and now he'll tell me, like, he does things like, all right, I see a blue jay, can you find it? How many different birds can you find? I see a deer, tell me what's the first thing you see of that deer. And he's teaching them, but he's also, like, engaging them, and they can talk. We said, like, duck hunting is a great one.
Oh, yes, I agree.
Right? Because you can sit there and jabber and
cook your breakfast right in the blind.
Yeah, cook your breakfast right there, and you jabber until you finally see a duck. Like, okay, quiet now.
Yeah.
And then you shoot, they fly away, and, like, it was fun. So we've just been using his experiences to, not to exploit his kids, but to uncover these things that we can be talking about, or that maybe we need to learn on our own, or in this situation, like, ask other people. There's a lot of guys who've made the podcast circuit and are really great outdoorsmen, and I'd like to sit down with them and be like, shot some big deer, that's great. We had this question about finding a good spot to bring your kid, or what makes a good deer stand setup for a kid. There's a whole new realm of questions that we can ask people for creating better opportunities for people to go outside.
Yeah, I mean, you said a lot there about setting up your blind where your kids can interact with, not only just looking for a deer. I mean, you're looking at all wildlife. I mean, It's like watching the world wake up in the morning, hearing the birds and the squirrels. I mean, that's what I remember as a kid. I remember as a kid sitting there in the mornings, as the daylight came, I could hear the squirrels coming down the trees, or hitting those hardwood leaves. Because I'm from Georgia, so we have a lot of hardwood. And then you can hear the deer walking before you could hear them. That just builds an excitement. Cool.
It does. And the other thing he's done for him is he's been able to get a better grasp on the year-round, like, cycle of life. Meaning he can go in the spring and they can work on their natural prairie or little food plot, and then those kids get to be outside in the spring burning energy. Then they get to see the seedlings come up and see the deer eating certain grasses early in the season and then later, and they see kind of the full circle of life, and they see bees pollinating things, and then they go get honey out of the hive that people put there. And so by creating a full outdoor experience, he's found ways to entertain his kids through the year. But mainly what he's done is he's created 2 more outdoorsmen
that's going to do the same thing with their children.
Yeah, and then those kids are going to school talking up their fun weekend, and when they bring their buddies, it's creating...
It's exponential.
Yeah, it just ripples out.
Well, and I think what you were saying, I mean, it's just things that I wouldn't have even thought about talking about, going to a stand where you can talk a little bit, or like finding ways to keep them engaged, asking about the blue jay and whatnot. And that's great. I mean, because I can think of as a kid going hunting with my grandpa, and I look back and cherish those times, but it was a lot of shushing, a lot of, things as a kid. Like you're saying, you have a short attention span. And, I mean, it wasn't until my teens probably that I really kind of dove in and took to hunting.
Really?
Jumped all the way in. I did it as a kid, but it was kind of one of them things I felt like I had to do it. And, just hearing you say those things, I think those are the questions that people need to be asking. I think it's cool. I think it's necessary that somebody like yourself is out there doing these things to keep it going. I really like that.
Cool. I like your appreciation. I think it's a sign of support. It's also motivation. It's kind of thinking like, maybe I gotta quit my day job and focus on this mission.
You're definitely got it's a great mission. It's got a great, you're exactly where you need to be. To help build that excitement in those youth.
Is it's fun too, Jeremy, and that I've seen probably no less than like 10,000 30-minute white-tailed deer videos in my life.
I agree.
I found myself getting a little irritable or mixed emotions, envy, those things, and I just realized in my woods, like what I was seeing on TV wasn't possible, and I was starting to not enjoy my experience a little bit. And I was seeing some of these things as barriers to entry. Or if I was feeling this as somebody who had no barriers, my backyard was the woods. I had no barriers, but if some of these things are starting to burn me out, I recognize how other people who don't understand the whole realm can look at this and say, like, this just doesn't even seem possible to me. So I took a big break from it and just decided, like, how am I going to make it just fun to go hunting? And that's what I get to do myself now, is just go hunting and not worry about how big the animals are, how big the horns are. There's a little bit of like accountability that comes with that. I still have goals for sometimes. Like this year I wanted to shoot a big moose. And I'll tell you, there was not a certain score in the records books that I wanted. I wanted a big moose that when you look at on your wall, you go like, that looks like you shot that in Alaska. Did you shoot that in Alaska? I did. Yeah, I had a heck of an adventure. So, I'm not shooting everything that walks by me, but I also am focusing on the experience more than the animal. So, for me, I just want to tell people, like, if you get excited about something, you're in the right spot.
Yes.
Absolutely.
That's the way I am about my work, my passion in this company. I'm excited about it. I know E3's excited about it. And we're building this company that we have passion for.
Yeah.
And I can go on and on and on talking about what we've done, where we're going, and all that. But and that's not our goal here. But you're right. If you're in that spot where you're excited about where you're at, and you wake up in the morning like, you got this excitement of I'm gonna get this done. If it's hunting, if it's going to the beach, whatever it is.
Whatever.
You're in the right spot in your life.
Get outside, and so then for me the follow-up to that is like, if you're excited for something, take care of it. Like if you like your job, you're gonna take steps to protect it. You're gonna work hard.
Yeah.
You're gonna go to staff meetings or something and make sure that you are, voting or putting in your idea, things that make your company better. If you like your church and your pastor, you tithe and you make sure that church can stay. What are some other examples of things we do? I just want people to frame it. Like things you do every day. If you like your car, you maintain it. You take it in for an oil change.
I like my time every morning doing my devotions and spending my my minutes with God every morning.
Yeah.
It makes me happy and calm, and I know my day's gonna go good.
Right.
But I ain't gonna say I don't got wrenches thrown in my days, but that helps me keep peace and and know there's there's reasons, and I just don't understand it.
Yeah.
But
So
usually it all pans out. But E3's, he's just right. I mean, you're definitely in the right spot if you're happy.
And here we are at a conservation organization where 10,000 people are going to walk through this hall this week. And, the call out to those people is just as you maintain your car, you tithe, you whatever, we need to make sure that we are conservationists and we're looking. Sorry, don't let me tell people what they need to do. I don't know you. But I encourage people, or I wanted to try to, display an importance of being conservationists. So find something that's important to you and give back to it. For me, it's animal habitat. It's looking after the animals because they can't personally vote for themselves. They can't really defend themselves. And sharks out there will take advantage of the land and exploit it, whatever. Like we got to look after it. And so again, I'm trying to make more outdoorsmen.
No doubt about it. And I think it's obvious that you have the passion for it, and it's easy to see. You're a really fascinating guy, and it's been really nice getting to kind of hear what you do.
Sure, cool. I appreciate having me on. I think I'd like to sit down again and we'll just tell hunting stories or something.
Hey, we're here all weekend.
All right, good. I think call to action to people. My final call to action to people, if you're just interacting with your guys' platform. Is it safe to just call it a platform, or what? How do you want me to use it?
It's a personalized marketplace. So, our platform allows hunters to just go on and like all their companies, just like Facebook. You like all your content, but our platform allows you to see all the content from your favorite companies and your favorite outfitters.
Curates
all
it
the
right
products,
for you, yeah.
Yeah, all the products that those companies make, and allows you just to make those purchases directly from those companies as well.
Sure.
So you're doing, you cut out so much homework, and by allowing it all to come to you instead of you going to it.
That's perfect.
That was the whole goal of Hunt360 originally, was to keep the hunter, which was me at the time, from doing all this hours and hours of the legwork trying to find products, places to go hunting. I was like, man, there's got to be a way I can market myself so this stuff can come to me.
Yeah.
And so if you want to hear a bit of the story,
I got time.
One night, I was sitting there watching Naked and Afraid TV show on Discovery Channel where they rate these people. And I'd been thinking earlier that day, how can I create a system that rates people so outfitters and product brand companies can come to me and want my business instead of me going to them wanting their business.
Okay.
And so I see this show and they rate these people that take this Naked and Afraid contest.
Yeah.
And they call it a PR rating. And at the end, they give it a rating to begin with, and they give them a rating at the end. I was like, well, I need, if I could rate hunters, if I could create a platform to rated hunters, and that would give the ability for companies to say, that's the guy I want.
My guy.
That's my guy.
That's my avatar customer.
That's my guy. So we started building that platform. Actually, the very next commercial after this show was Match.com. So it gave me. I said I need a dating site for hunters to match them with products and places to go hunting.
Yeah,
and
products,
so
outfitters, locations, tags, you name it.
Yeah, everything. I mean, it's all about connections. It's all about connecting. And why should I spend 30 hours in a week's time doing research when I can just put myself out there and then those people come to me and just cut my time where all I got to do is see the content instead of look for the content.
Ooh, that's saucy.
That was the foundation of our platform.
Awesome. So my ask then, working together, would be, as you're interacting with it, support companies that support conservation.
Oh yeah.
Support companies that put more hunters out there. Take care of your passion. If you're passionate about the outdoors.
And most all these companies do. I mean, all these companies, they know where their core.
Yeah.
Their core is hunters, and if they're run out, they're going.
Yeah.
They're gone. So they do mean, you see it all the time where they're donating 1-2% back to conservation.
Yeah.
Then into these platforms like this, the Wild
And
Chicken.
into these companies. And they're advertising. I mean, they're getting the guys that are here to be their customers, and we're trying to bring more people here.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I think that's a great attitude to carry in all areas of life, like you're saying, with the take care of your passion. I mean, it can translate to absolutely everything.
Yeah, and I guess whatever your passion is, as long as you're taking care of it, you're all right by me.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, tell everybody how they can find you and listen to your podcast.
Sure. My the standard handle, I went just try to focus it into one. So just Alaskan Odysseys, ODYSSEYS. That's a word that sometimes hangs people up. Alaskan Odysseys is the handle that I want to run with. So that's my Instagram handle. That's my Facebook. And that's now the name of my podcast. My podcast, I'm going to be recording here at Sheep Show. It's just a matter of me releasing it. I've got the logo. It finally all came together. And so that's out. It's a creative project. I'll try to give you 1 or 2 a month. And again, it says Alaska, but expect everything from Minnesota to North Carolina to Florida to Arizona, all these places I've hunted that help prepare me to be a backcountry Alaskan enthusiast. And I still do all that other stuff. So like, whatever your need is for the outdoors, shoot me a message. Tell me what you need to hear. Tell me what would make your life or your experiences better, and we'll curate a discussion that'll help you out.
Sweet, man. It was a pleasure talking to you, Steve.
Absolutely. Thanks for letting me sit down, guys.
Thanks, Steve.
Look forward to seeing how the rest of your weekend goes.
Yep.
Cool.
Thank you.
All right, later.